Hello, castaways. I'm Rayan.
I'm Will. I forgot the order. I'm Will.
Mi amo Ivan.
And tonight, we begin a review of the show we've been waiting for, Survivor UK. This is the podcast where we watch reality TV, so you don't have to. Welcome to episode 19 of It's Just a Game.
Just a game.
Hello and welcome to episode 19 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV, so you don't have to. We're back and we have a lot to say about this series. It's back, it's here, it's all its glory, it's off to the Dominican Republic, it's Survivor UK. Now, it'd be a bit sad if I was just watching it on my own, and that's why I will be joined by two mates. On my left, he's the expert in strategy, the gameplay analytics warrior, live from Spain. It's Ivan. Hello, Ivan. How have you been?
Hola, buenas tardes, señores. ¿Qué tal?
¿Cómo está la discoteca?
Sorry. English. Por favor. Dos cervezas. I'll tell you what, lads. I have learned about 10 Spanish words, and you better believe I will perform those words as if I'm some sort of sassy debutante in a bar. That's all I've got. I'm having a lovely time. It's hot.
Ivan will be placing 10 Spanish words in this episode to see if you can spot them.
I've already said them, friends.
That's fair. On my right now, he's the man whose hair gets messier as the show gets streakier. Wilf. Hello, Wilf. Done a bit of writing here.
I like that intro. No, you've done a bit. You prepared for this one. My hair does get messy out when I'm stressed. I'm good, man. I'm good. Life's good. You know.
Ryan, there's a different attitude about you today. It's like Survivor is special. You've put on your special tie. You've actually put some pants on. Like, is this a big moment for you?
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I had a big life event recently.
Would you like
what life event was that? Share.
I got married, guys. No.
Congratulations, Ryan.
I just didn't know where this improv was going. I didn't have any inspiration. Sorry.
A little birdie's told me that Survivor's your most favouriteest show, apart from the news.
I mean, apart from the news now. Look, I really like Survivor. Like, the thing is, I have grown up in France, and in France as a kid, Survivor was a Friday night institution. Every night, 9:05 p.m., you'd sit down in front of the TV and you just watch two uninterrupted, well, actually, there's loads of ads, but you'd watch 2 interrupted hours of Survivor France with my man, Denis Brognard, the host, who was just standing there. He's been doing this for 20 years. You'd see the strategies, a survival, like a guy threatening to punch another guy if they wouldn't let him eat a goat, like just insane TV moments. And I've grown with that my whole life. So having this back in the UK now makes me deeply happy.
And can I just say, is when we first started this podcast, right, we was like talking about things that we're going to podcast about. And the first thing is like, and Survivor's coming to the UK. It's like one of the first shows we agreed to podcast.
Anyways, let's move on to the main event, Survivor UK. Now, you know the drill. We're entering a spoiler zone. If you haven't seen episodes 1 and 2 of Survivor UK and you don't want to be spoiled, go away and come back when you're done. If you have seen it, stay here because we've got a lot to discuss. And if you don't mind being spoiled, Ivan is here to catch us up. Ivan, what's been going on in Survivor UK?
All right, here we go. Episode 1. 18 beautiful people sit on a fruit boat in the Dominican Republic. I don't know what a fruit boat is, but this is a fruit boat. Joel Dommett arrives, tells them to take the fruit to the shore and build a fire and burn a rope. Blue tribe, Nena, win a bunch of bananas and the ability to start a fire. Orange tribe, Caleton, must eat sand and sadness only. The next day is the immunity challenge, where they must hold ropes to keep heavy buckets in the air. Caleton, who haven't eaten for 2 days, struggle. Leilani ducks out early, but it's Richard who eventually drops his after carrying 2 buckets for a bit too long. Caleton is split between Leilani for being weak, Richard for dropping the barrel, or Shay for being bossy, but the vast majority vote Richard, and Richard is first to go home. Episode 2. Both tribes have fire now, so they're dining on rice in leaves like kings. The reward challenge is a hybrid slip and slide / wrestling game. You know the sort. And Nena win, but Ashley sits it out because of her rope-burned hand from the last episode. Nena get fishing equipment. The immunity challenge is a complicated, rafty, knotty, swimmy, tower-buildy affair. You know, the sort of thing, which Caleton finally win. Back at camp, Nena split into 2 vague alliances. Keep track, guys. Lee, Hannah, Pegleg, and Sabrina, who want Ashley out for being too injured. And then Ashley, Christopher, Rach, and Ren, who want Sabrina out for being too annoying. The swing vote, Doug, votes for Sabrina, and she's the first sent home from that tribe. And that, my friends, is your up to date. As the catchphrase goes, that, my friends, is your up to date.
Oh,
wow.
Can I just say one thing about your up to date? It was very, very good, but they're eating rice and beans off a leaf.
I said off leaves.
You
what
said
did I say?
You said that they're eating rice and leaves.
I said eating rice and leaves in a bean. They're eating rice and leaves out of a bean. It's a big bean.
It's one of these fancy restaurants where you eat the plate at the end of the meal. You never know.
It's like injera, isn't it? Oh, have you guys had injera before?
No.
Ethiopian bread? It's like, okay, well, if you eat it wrong, you might get an injera. It's like a big Ethiopian bread, and you eat your food on it, and then when you're finished, you eat the bread.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Now, I want to get your feelings on Survivor UK returning, like the vibe, the feel for the show. How did you like it? The edits, the music, Joel, the host, you know, so much. There's just so much Survivor lore around the show. How did you find it? Wilf.
So, do you know what? I'm really enjoying it so far. I think the music reminds me, and can I just say, there's so many social deduction games at the moment. There's so many of them. Like, there's so many game shows. I'm like, and it all the same premise. You all vote which is brilliant because it's one of my favorite types of things to watch. Hence why we're doing a podcast about it. But Joel, right? He looks fit. I'm so sorry. He looks
in
so
shape.
fit. He was like, they've gone, you're doing something about Survivor. We're going to show you a picture of a guy called Nathan who's on it. Try and look like him. like he looks wicked. And the premise of it's great. The music's
less great.
Yeah, it's on and off.
It's just so weird how they're like, here's a random scene, and suddenly here's just like a really famous pop song playing halfway through the scene until halfway through the next scene, and then it stops. It's just like, okay, Joel Dommett.
Yeah, you're just watching them fight in the mud, and the next second you hear, "'Cause the taste of your lips on."
The thing is with me, my last point is when I figured out there's going to be two challenges. I remember watching the traitors type challenges. I'm not going to lie, I thought they were quite boring. So I was like, oh my god, it's going to be just 2 of these. But their challenges are so much better, than the traitors.
I love Survivor challenges.
They matter.
This is the thing. Survivor's all about the challenges because that's how you vote who wants to stay in or out again. The challenges are really, really relevant. The rewards mean you're surviving better in the camp, and the immunity challenges are how you measure whether the people should stay in your group or not. So they are absolutely crucial, and they have to be good. They have to be entertaining from the first episode. Otherwise, there's no show.
Yeah, no, the challenges have been brilliant. Now, the one problem I have with the challenges is the immunity challenge. I'm sorry, but the immunity idol this year, that's a year 2 odd project. They assembled a class of 36-year-olds and they asked them, make an idol, and this is what they came up with. I'm so sorry. It's like somebody glue taped. It's one of these TikTok tutorials where somebody glue taped a bunch of metal on a trunk that they found.
They showed a picture of they went to year 2 students. They went, here you go. Here's a picture of the mask that used to be on Crash Bandicoot. Replicate it.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of.
That's what it is. I was thinking about Ed, Ed and Eddie. Do you remember the Nickelodeon show, Ed, Ed and Eddie? This is a deep cut.
Oh my God. Plank.
They
Plank.
Oh my God. It's Plank from Ed, Ed and Eddie, isn't it? It's Plank.
Oh my god, that's so fun.
Right, I'm so glad you knew what I was about to say, because that was a deep cut. I think Wilf has perished.
Sorry, I had to literally mute myself because I was screaming. Yeah, but Plank, I tell you what, I'm going to put it on my Instagram story, a picture of Plank and the whatever they call it. What's it called?
The Immunity Idol.
The Idol.
Yeah, you can tell Wilf hasn't been watching Survivor for the past 20 years.
I watched it. Wasn't it on BBC like that 20 years ago?
Yeah. There were two series in the UK. Yeah.
I remember watching it when I was a kid. So maybe they'll put me on Survivor next year, and I can trade to a lot of them.
I think you're going to be disappointed at the lack of food there.
Oh, mate,
There's plenty of bananas. They're just on a big boat.
Right, Ivan. Let's get to Ivan.
Ivan, yeah, how did you feel about the vibe of the show?
Okay, the editing feels quite kind of loose and scrappy, and I'm quite used to watching the kind of the pace of the American show, which is very American reality TV. It's more kind of static, it's more kind of structural, and this is going for a slightly freer, almost feels like a sort of Hunted vibe, which I'm okay with, actually. It's just a bit different, takes a bit of getting used to. The thing I want to talk about is I want to go back to Joel Dommett. It's really funny the way they're making him commentate live as the thing's going on. There's an amazing shot.
I love it.
In the second episode, when it's the task when they're on the rafts, and like as one team is like making their way back to the beach, he's just striding nipple deep in the sea. And you literally see this drone shot of him just like, it's like Terminator 2 style, just making his way through the ocean, coming out the other side dripping wet, just carrying on narrating like he's not skipped a beat. It's absolutely hilarious.
And the thing is, there's the little, you know, when they get to the diving part, right? There's the long bit of like, what would you call it? A small dock, but it's not actually attached to the beach. So so I'm like, how did he get there? At first, I was like, how did he get there? And then 5 minutes later, he's in the water.
Why couldn't you just finish the fucking dock? Like, just finish the dock. You just need like an extra 3 planks of wood or something.
No, Joel Dommett was like, don't finish the dock. They need to see me stride. They need to know I can wade even when I'm in nipple deep water. It's so funny.
Can we just say, I really like him as a host, but he smiles way too much.
He does do a lot of smiling.
Yeah. Like, I think that's just the one concern. Like, Joel's a bit like, you know, daddy, and he's really cool, and he's very smiley and funny, but it's just like, Tribal Council, I want some gravitas, I want some drama, I want somebody to just sit there with a blank face nodding while people rip into each other. And maybe I'm lacking this a little bit in this version, but otherwise he's been brilliant, I'm not going to lie.
I think he's good. I think, yeah, as you say, he's a bit grinny. He's no Jeff Probst. He hasn't got the dad bod of Jeff Probst, but I think he'll get there. And the grinny, I think, is him. If you've seen him present other shows, he's just always smiling. That's just his thing. He is a comedian.
I think what I really like about him though is, you know, when we talk about the commentary, it's, you know, he's so engrossed in what they're doing, and for us as a viewer, he describes it really well, and you can tell he's doing it off the cuff. He's not listening to what people are feeding in his ear. He's just going on one. Like, he's just like, oh my God, and he's dropped the ball. What's going on?
Now, we've talked about one of the main characters in there, Joel. Let's talk about the other characters, the castaways. And I've got to ask you the same question I ask every time we begin talking about a new show on this podcast. Favorite, least favorite player. I'm going to start with my favourite now, because I know Ivan wants to say my favourite.
Actually, I'd just like to start with my favourite now.
I'm not going to allow it. Ivan, I will just mute you. So I've muted Ivan now, and I can say that my favourite is Ren. I love Ren.
I just want to say that my favourite is...
I'm sorry.
No, sorry, Ryan, you do it. I'll find another phone. No, it's okay. It's all right. Oh.
I'm sorry. It's based purely on vibes, because we hear them chat for about, like, what... They get 5 words in the first episode, and that's basically it. But they have this really funny moment in the comfort challenge in the second episode where they completely miss the mark. I just found this really funny. I was just like, this is probably how I would be if I was in this challenge. This is exactly what would happen to me. So no, I really rate Ren. But Ivan, who's your favourite?
Oh, there's a few. I think it's easier to hate people at this stage than like them.
And we'll get there.
I think Hannah's quite interesting. I did for a while. I didn't think I would, but I did for a while quite like Nathan. He was just being quite mature about things. I enjoyed Pegleg because he's called Pegleg. I quite like Richard before he got sent home, actually. And Tanuke as well. So there's a bunch of people who I think are sort of interesting. But I think
I asked for your favourite, and you just listed basically a whole tribe.
Well, I was going to say Ren, because Ren is a data scientist, and I work for a data science company, and also, by the sounds of things, is a huge Survivor fan and playing it incredibly strategically. That's why Ren's my favourite character. But you, my French friend, did not allow me to say that. So I had to I had to look at a list of people and say a half a dozen who I thought were okay. How about that?
Now, Wilf, who's your favourite? And you can only name like 15 contestants.
Only 15? What?
So listen, so I'm going to say, well, just for the fact, right, so I like Lee a lot, just for the fact that I used to be a boxer and he's a boxer, and I think he's very, like, I think he might come across, no, what I like about him is when people were coming over, sharing their views about who they're going to vote for, he just went, like, in his MIV, like, where he had his own little interview, he went, I don't give a fuck who they're voting for. Basically, I'm gonna put who I think's the weakest. Like you don't listen. He's not listening to everybody's sort of thing. But that's not the way to play the game.
More controversial, Ivan. You know what? You can get started on least favorite players. You can only name one.
Shay. Wasn't massively impressed with Shay. I don't like finance risk managers very much. I think people in finance have to work a lot harder for me to like them, just purely because of prejudice against rich people.
Yes,
but also, I just thought he was being very bossy. And I don't mind, but I am bossy, right? I don't mind bossy people, but it tells me he's not thinking strategically at this stage. And in a way, that's the same thing for Sabrina, isn't it? Although I've only named one person, that's Shay. If you're going to come in first week and become bossy, you're basically telegraphing the fact that you're not that bothered about strategy. And this game is heavy person wrangling strategy, and he's not playing that at all.
Yeah. Wilf, how about you?
Sabrina, obviously she's gone.
R.I.P.
The reason being is I think she's amazing at what she does. She's obviously extremely fit. And I feel like it was the bits where, you know, they're doing the endurance task when they're holding the weights up, right? And it was just irritating everyone. Like, she's like, come on, guys, you could do it. And sometimes that's not what you want to hear. Like, I just couldn't bond with her over the screen, if that makes sense. Like, I just didn't really, she was my worst at the time so far.
Fair. See, this is where we're going to disagree now with Wilf, because my least favourite right now is probably going to be Lee, just because of his attitude in the challenges. I just feel like he's in there and he's being too cocky. He's not showing great sportsmanship. He's just being like, oh yeah, with the best. Like, even in that first Smoothie challenge, he kept on holding the ropes far after the challenge had ended, just to be like, yeah, I'm that guy. I don't know, there's something about his attitude, about how he's acting so good in this, that makes me feel like it's not going to last very long. Because like, people that bring this attitude of like, yeah, I'm physically superior, I'm great for this game, typically have no social game, and that's where they fail.
They will be the threat, they'll be the shield, people will hide behind them until they get voted out. He is intimidating in his physical presence and in his bravado. And from everything I've seen, from the series of the show I've seen, he may last for a few weeks, but he will not last forever, because at some point, a majority of players are going to say, I don't want to be in the final with this guy. He's out.
Can we just applaud the shithousery of this show? So, you know, like when they're doing tasks and the endurance one, and they're just shouting stuff, just let go. You know, they're just being proper shithouses. I love it so much. Yeah. You know, you're all rubbish. You know, you're gonna lose. I love it. Like, that's what's got me engrossed in it. Like, because for me, that's why I like Lee, because you have boxing talk, right? You have that fight talk, you know.
But it's not very Survivor, is it?
No, it's not very Survivor. Like, mate, I haven't watched Survivor since I was a kid, but for me,
one thing I always, when I'm watching things like Survivor, particularly Survivor, and I think this is really interesting, Wilf, you'll probably enjoy this, is if you think about who poses a threat to you in the show at this stage until the merge, it's your own tribe. So the opposing team, the ones they're shithousing, don't actually pose them any threat for a number of weeks. The only people who can send you home is your own tribe. So you don't need to be watching out for the other team and trying to like make the other team feel bad about themselves. If anything, you need to be making sure that when you do merge with the other tribe, if you get that far, they like you. The people you need to be watching out for is your own tribe. And I think some people are playing that wrong already, because they're going in there trying to make enemies of the other tribe and trying to make friends with all of their own. And that's actually not what it is. It's like two mini competitions. Which of the orange tribe get to the end? Which of the blue tribe get to the end? That's what you need to be watching out for. And I'm going to be watching the show for that, I think, because what I want to see from players who are playing well is that they're being most aware and most suspicious of their own team rather than the opposing team.
Right. Well, we've talked about the players, we've talked about the set, the gameplay, and everything. Now I want to get right into the strategies, because this is a game that is deeply based on strategy. In the first episode, it's fairly light on strategy. I mean, obviously, there's, the first tribal council. Nobody really knows who to vote for. They're going to have to throw somebody under the bus. Richard fucked up in the challenge. They're going to go for him. Fair enough. In the second episode, it gets a lot more interesting. They've been there for 3 days. And at that point, you really start to have tensions crystallizing just before the challenge at La Nena. And then after the immunity challenge, La Nena finally loses their first challenge of the adventure. And really tensions, groups crystallize. At that point, I guess I want to ask, how do you strategize? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be in one tribe? Do you want to be the swing vote? What's the optimal game at that point, Ivan?
Oh, it's right now, early stage. It's just keep your head down. It really is. People get picked off. We remember this from the traits as well. From our round table votes in the first few days, you're just listening to any name to jump on that name and get into a majority. And with the group of 9, you need 5 people. You need 5 votes for someone. So you're trying to A, keep your head down, and B, jump into a quick and early alliance. Those alliances won't stick, but they will morph and they will change, and you need to be in an alliance. And you've got to try and get there early. Obviously, what you don't want to do is jump so quickly into an alliance that you don't get the majority 5. And then what you're looking like is somebody who's playing too hard. So it's all about playing softly right now. That's the only thing you can do. It's really, really low strategy. Keep your head down. The good players are doing that right now.
So do we think Doug, by making himself the swing vote, the deciding vote, is sort of doomed now? Because it's a dangerous position to be in. You're the swing vote. You're going to piss off enough people eventually.
I think he's there. I think he's fine. By being the swing vote, he's decided which alliance has the majority, and he can stick with it. So he's not the swing vote. Doesn't mean he's indecisive. It just means that he
could it not be seen as an outsider to the alliance by being seen as a swing vote rather than a full-fledged member of the alliance? As the risk is being seen as the outsider, which means that when the alliance is going to have to eliminate one on their own, they're going to go for Doug first.
I guess it depends if he stays as the swing vote or if he then pledges himself deeply to the alliance and says, right, now we're basically 5 and 3. We'll stick as the 5 and that'll be fine. I know what you're saying, but I think it's a couple of weeks. He's got a couple more episodes to cement himself. Sorry, Wilf, you go for it.
That's exactly what I was about to say. So what you got to think about these sort of games where you vote and nominate, every single day changes. So you have a day to whatever happens in a day can change everything. So you think the next challenge they do could completely swing everything to somebody else. Like, that's the main thing about it. It's just get through it. I'll talk about my strategy too. It's very much be a middleman. And that was my strategy if I was a faithful in the traitors, was just be a middleman. Don't be really good at something. Don't be overly loud. Don't be too opinionated. And then it's also don't be not too opinionated, have the conversations on whatever. I think that's the best ground you can be on for a long time in any sort of game where people are nominating and voting. That was my
strategy, and look how that worked out.
Yeah, but
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I can't say anything to that.
You've got to work out the time at which you're going to really start to step forward, and you can't just stay under the radar the entire time because people are counting numbers from this early on. You see this with Nena. They've been winning every single task, but it's episode 2 and already they've had to pick 5. So you're right. You can't just go, I'll just wait and see what happens. You cannot miss the boat. You've just got to constantly be figuring out when it's going to be without being so manic about it that people don't want you in their 5.
And can we just say that, there's certain things in these kind of games where it does impact your state of mind, like the food, them sort of things will impact your reaction to stuff.
Well, I mean, Lenena's getting a 3-course meal basically every meal right now because they filled up a boat with bananas and food and they're feasting on it. Which
I hate that.
By the way, I actually don't like. That's not Survivor. As far as I'm concerned, Survivor is good luck with the fire, figure it out. Find some wood, make your own. Good luck with the food. Go around the island, find your own. They've been a bit nice and easy on the contestants, especially in Nena, because they've got all the food. So, you know, they're quite comfortable
them in
there.
about 4 days' time when all their pineapples are rotting and they're like, what are we going to do with these now? We've got we only need about half a dozen bananas and we've got 15,000 bananas in a massive pile. We're going to do shade in it. Like, it's just ridiculous.
But now, how do you go from there then? Obviously, do you just solidify your alliance until the merger and you stay under the radar, or do you take risks? Especially if you're in the weaker alliance, what do you do?
Yeah, great question. You've got to hope for some twists if you're in the weaker alliance.
And experience from Survivor shows us that, you know, when you're in the weaker alliance, you're not actually doomed for very long. It's quite easy to move away from a weak alliance.
Absolutely. It's all about winning somebody over from the bigger alliance without seeming like a massive snake, or riding it out and being such, you know, even if you're in the weaker alliance, right, you may not be the person they want to get rid of first. If you show yourself to be a team player, very valuable and that kind of thing. And once people are starting to judge you in that positive way, you're not that far from being in their alliance. In fact, you know, people will try to limit the number of people in their alliance. They need a small majority. A small majority is perfect. But you might just be that person to make it a majority. If they fall out, if there's a rivalry, you can just step in. So you're always looking for a way to step into the larger alliance, but don't panic if you're not, for sure.
But it's such a hard game to play because you can talk about alliances and you could be in the larger alliance with the majority votes, right? And completely fuck up on a challenge. Like, and then that you're done. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's shown already in 2 episodes that if you fuck up any of the challenges, you're near enough. It's you or someone else, like very close. You know what I mean?
But that's the whole point of the alliance at that point. That's if you're in the stronger alliance, that's when you go, well, yeah, I fucked it up this time, but I'm going to be really good at this other sort of challenges, and that's why you should keep me, and let's all work together to push the blame on someone else. That's the benefit of these alliances.
Yeah, true.
It's so chaotic that you can't predict at this point whether it's going to be one of those ones where somebody just stays as a minority and just has a lot of power, or if there's a big alliance that then breaks up and becomes 2. You know, it's just, there's so many things that can happen. It's almost impossible to predict. But as long as you're constantly aware of where the numbers are, you're playing the right game.
The more days you're there, the more friendships you're making, right? So then people will stick with you, even if you fuck up a challenge. So it's like the further it goes along, the alliances come stronger unless they mix up and change and whatever. But like me, I'm a social butterfly. So for me, it would be like socially butterflying, but then you leave yourself. That would be my problem, I think, if I was in Survivor, is I'd want to be part of everyone's little thing.
You can't be seen as unfaithful, I think.
Yeah.
You've got to pick your team. Yeah. Well, so you're pretty good at sort of reading people and seeing the truth of people, aren't you, Wilf?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at seeing...
Well, in that case, you'll be good at my new recurring segment, Who Said That? That's the theme tune.
Who said that?
Thank you. That's also the theme tune. There's a third theme tune that's going to come now from Wilf.
Who said that?
Brains.
That's the third and best theme tune. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to read you a sentence from the BBC Press Office press release of these 18 contestants, and you've got to try and guess which contestant said that.
Because you've got to bear in mind, we know that these interviews, we've been there before. These interviews happen just like the day before you're meant to go into the show. You're going in there like somebody, like you're waiting, you're in isolation, you're all cocky, you're all wound up, you're just waiting, ready to go in. And so you're really cocky.
I told everyone I was going to be a puppet master in mine, and I cried the whole time.
Right. Number 1. I did a fair amount of rock climbing, allowed my father to thrash me thrice at squash.
Lawrence.
That's 1 point to Rayan.
Easy. As soon as you square squash, I was like, Tori, yeah, fair.
No, I was on mute. I muted myself.
That sounds like a you problem.
Here we go. Next one, number 2. I had just actually come out the back of preparation for a photo shoot, so my body was fatigued from dieting for 15 weeks.
Oh my God, it's the
really fit one.
The model person who's not a fashion model, she's just fitting model. What's her name? Is it Jess?
No, it's not Jess.
Fuck.
Oh, I was going to say Jess.
Okay, well, it's not Jess, so don't say Jess.
I'm going for no. Lee.
No, not Lee. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4.
Nathan.
2.
No, I mean Leilani.
Ooh, time out. It's Rach. Rach was the one who was on the back of preparation for a photo shoot. Number 3. So it's 1-0 to Rayan right now, guys. Very tense. Number 3. I'm a disco dynamite babe. always up for a good laugh and can brighten up a group with vibes, singing, twerking, a cartwheel and laughter.
Wait, she was twerking.
Jess.
No, it's not. She was twerking in one of the episodes, like before the task.
Well, were you watching the same version? Wilf was watching Survivor After Dark.
No, she was twerking. Tanuke?
Correct. That means you've evened it up, Will. 1-1. It's all down to the last question. Number 4. In terms of proper strategy, I came in blind, as I haven't seen the show before. I'm an idiot.
Ooh.
Lee?
Correct! Wow! Ryan, you win. Congratulations.
Of course I do.
Your prize
Thank you.
is Wilf is going to moon you now for 5 seconds on an audio podcast.
No, Wilf, sit down. Sit right down,
Oh,
Wilf.
Christ alive! Do you know Wilf's bum looks just like Wilf's face?
And do you know what? Everybody has the same mole on their bum that I do.
Anyway, on that note, without comment, I want to ask the last big question of today, which is, we've seen the players. It's still early days, but we've seen some early strategies. I'm going to ask you, as I always do, if you have to put a bet on someone. I'm going to ask if you have to put a bet on someone. Who's winning Survivor UK? You tell me. Ivan, who's winning?
Matthew.
Wilf, who's winning?
I'd say peg leg.
Okay.
Ryan.
I'm going to go... It's quite hard. I reckon Ren's got a chance.
All right.
Well, there you go. That's all the brief of the first 2 episodes of Survivor. Next week, we'll be back, and there'll be a few more twists as well in the next 2 episodes. We know the immunity necklace is coming. If you're a Survivor fan, you know exactly what this means. This could shake up every strategy, so I'm really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, that's the end of our debrief. If you liked us, don't forget to like and subscribe, give us 5 stars. Just tell us how much you love us, really. It'll be nice. My name is @Joel's T-shirts. You can follow me on Instagram.
My name is @Joel's big muscular body that I've never seen him look like before.
And I'm @Nipple High Striding on Twitter.
And from all of us here, it's see you next week and goodbye.
Bye. 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 Bye.